This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good evening, everybody, and good evening to my favorite wenches, DC Wench Peggy and Kevlar Prom Dress Heidi. In fact, let me do this because I don't want any of your faces, obstructed by the fact that we are watching on Roku TV. That's just passe, and that's wrong on all levels. And so, welcome to the show, ladies. How have you been doing? I've missed having you on for sure.
Oh, Captain, we're doing great. The season is over, but I'm excited. Heidi,
doing well here too.
We wanted to go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say we do have a lady in here as well. Veronica Yim, who is a 49ers super fan, is in here. So we definitely have the ladies packing out tonight. I know Veronica is very happy about her Niners, and she can pop in and talk about that when the ladies say, "Come on in, Veronica." But again, for all those out there, you got to get past the bouncer to talk to the ladies because the ladies run the show. I'm just here to make sure that nobody interferes with them. So there you go.
Well, welcome, Veronica, and congratulations for your team getting as far as it has. And I guess good luck.
And I'm actually happy for the 49ers because they tell a story that I've been telling for years about the importance of a good defense. And doesn't matter if you got a quarterback that can't see the field, never has, and he just doesn't make the plays you want him to play. He made the plays he had to make, but your defense held the game close enough for you to win. That's what kind of defense that I'm hoping for here in Vegas.
Yeah,
And I can agree with that. Defense still wins championships.
And we got Robert Bigler, who's representing the Kansas City Chiefs. Congratulations to them. Sorry.
He has something caught in his throat.
Yeah, I'm happy for Robert because Robert is a stalwart, good friend of mine. So I'm happy for him. Can't stand the team, but I'm happy for him. Okay, so there you go. And we got Valerie's in here as well. So we got two V gals in here already. I love that. Love that. Ladies, I apologize. I'm making sure that we get all the people. Yeah, we got some dudes in here too. But
well, since we're talking about it, let's start off with one of our topics tonight, which is your predictions for the title games, NFC and AFC title games. Who you got, Captain?
No, I want to go last.
He wants to go last. Okay, Heidi, you're it.
I don't even know who's in. Honestly, the Raiders lost to the Bengals, and I shut the TV off, and I have not watched any football since then.
We got the Rams and the 49ers.
I do. I know I missed a hell of a lot of good football, but I was just crushed. I just couldn't bring myself to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, and I barely watched. I was doing like 3 things while every one of those games was on because it's just not a priority. But we got the Rams and the 49ers on one side of the ball, and on the AFC side, Bengals versus the Chiefs. Okay, Captain, you're on.
No, she didn't give a pick yet.
She said she wasn't watching.
That doesn't matter.
I'm not going to give a pick. I'm going to give who I'll be rooting for. I'll be rooting for the Rams. I'll be rooting for the Rams, and I'll be rooting for the Buggles.
Okay. The Rams made my year because they kept the fake Pirates out of the Super Bowl.
Okay. And I want to see Matt Stafford do well. I would love to see him just get out of Detroit and just excel and just show, hey, he is a good quarterback. He just needed to get out of hell.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the things great things that happen. And this is what happens also when you get a quarterback of Matt Stafford's stature, how that can just change the prospects of the team. The other things that the Rams do is they know how to get the right free agents at the right times. Got rid of Jackson, brought in Beckham. Then they picked up Von Miller. It's like they always know how to polish the apple and position themselves to win now. I've always had the Rams from the very beginning. And like I said, Stafford's one of my favorite. So I've also got them beating the 49ers. Sorry, Veronica, but I just don't feel that the 49ers have the level of coaching and the quarterback position is no match.
Okay, I will take one of the points that Veronica has stated, which is a very important point. The Rams have not beaten the Niners in 3 years. They are 0 for 6 the last 3 years.
Then they're due.
That's telltale. And
it's the playoffs, not the regular season.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. The past 4 years. So it'd be that's 8. So 0-8. I had it wrong. 0-8. They've swept them the last 4 years. And I know it's hard. To beat a team 3 times in a row. Ergo, you go back to last season where the fake Pirates got trounced by the Saints twice in the regular season. Beat them when they had to do it. I will say that I think the best game this weekend will be the NFC Championship game because of that history together, that it is a divisional game. It is a hatred game. It is a game where the Rams need to put up or shut up. And I think, though, that the Niners defensively just rack up so much better against the Rams offensive line when you put the defensive lines and the linebackers for the Niners against them. It's why that they have been beating them the last 4 years. Okay, now granted, this year they have Stafford back there instead of Goff, who's definitely more of a statue. Stafford's not that much more mobile, but you know he is a little bit.
He doesn't. Goff doesn't see the field. As simple as that. He just doesn't see enough of the field, and he never did. And that's why I think. But you got the 49ers, Cap. you go ride with Veronica.
I can't see the Niners beating them 3 times in a row in 1 year. I'm sorry, Veronica. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think that the Rams will finally win when it counts. But Veronica also made mention as well is that the Niner fans come down and pack Los Angeles like the Raider fans pack the Gargler games. So there's going to be a lot of gold and what's the typical number? What's the red color that I'm waiting? It's not red. There's a name for the Niner red. It's
like crimson.
Cardinal
red.
No, it's definitely not cardinal red. It ain't that bright red that stands out. It's that dull red. Almost looks purple to me.
Yeah. Okay. Now he says it's Garnett. No, Garnett is Florida State red. So it's not Garnett because Garnett. I know Garnett and gold. Trust me, it's not Garnett and gold.
I don't care enough about Santa Clara to keep up with their colors.
Really, I don't. You know, it's just not on a Raider fans' agenda. Never was. We're humoring you. I'm just going to tell you that. But now let's move over to the AFC.
Okay.
Bengals and Kansas City. And I'm going to tell you straight, even though I hate to say it, Kansas City is better coached, more polished, more experienced. The Bengals are the new guys on the block. And as good as Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins and them 2 tight ends, Uzoma and Boyd are, and Mixon, of course, I still can't. I can't see them beating an experienced Kansas City team.
Yeah, I don't. I don't see the Bengals winning at all. I will be rooting for them, but the task of beating the Chiefs, especially at this point in the playoffs, with the experience they have, I just don't see the Bengals being able to pull it off.
Okay,
I'll give it a good try too. And Captain, what's on your mind about that game?
I know who I want to win, and it's hard for me to say that I want the team that, through the help of the officials, beat the Raiders when the Raiders should have been playing last week in Tennessee, and I actually would have been at that game. It was definitely a lot nicer in Tennessee to go to a cold game than it was up in basically northern Kentucky.
Yeah,
where Cincinnati is. It's just a stone's throw across the river.
Kissing cousins.
Yeah, definitely kissing cousins.
Get me them start with them cousins. Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing is that, and I would have went because there's stuff to do in Nashville on Friday and Saturday night. I think in Cincinnati they roll the streets up at 9. Okay, and by the way, the best steak in the Cincinnati area is again over in Kentucky, and it was a great steakhouse that my friend brought me.
Covington. That's where you go. Covington.
There you go. I believe that even though the Bengals have the juju going for them, that the juju and sprinkled pixie dust is going to run out this weekend. And it's going to be Kansas City winning and going to their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Right. And that makes me ill. That just makes me ill.
It does, but don't you think they would do for a dynasty, seeing that it took them 50 years to win their 2nd Super Bowl trophy? 50 years is a long time to get shut out of the big game. And everybody has their day. Our friends up in New England, or whatever you want to call them, I mean, they were shut out for 40 years. So was Pittsburgh. It's their day. It's their day in the sun. And I don't give Mahomes any credit, although he is a show. He is exciting to watch. But I give those Tyreek Hill and Kelsey all the due respect in the world. I mean, those guys consistently, week after week, find a way to be open when the game is on the line. You can't get better clutch players. You just can't.
I got you. And we got Hefe KC, obviously, who is a Kansas City fan, along with Robert Bigler. Robert, which trash can do you got for me? Is it a Kansas City trash can? I'll take a Kansas City trash can and put it in my room and use it.
We need one that the dog can't get into.
Yeah, something with a lid on it that doesn't come off.
Yeah, because the toddler, he pushes the can over, and the dog, rips the lid off. We need one that the dog can't rip the lid off of. And if it says KC on it, then, well, we'll just put a Raider sticker over it and use that.
No. I think it stays pristine, because here's what I always wanted. I always wanted a Kansas City front doormat.
Yeah.
For a Raider house.
That's right. They can wipe their feet on it, rain, snow, mud, dog dew, and, just wipe it off the bottom of your feet. I mean, I can see that.
And then Richie.
That's a pretty good idea, Richie.
I think so. It really, really is. Well, we're talking about that, but let's go on to the Super Bowl. Let's say Kansas City and the Rams make it.
Okay,
what are you looking at there?
This makes me happier. I think the Rams win, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Rams can get past Niners, because the Niners are their kryptonite.
Right.
If they get past the Niners, that defense of the Rams is the best defense that Kansas City has run up against probably all year.
Probably.
So I will take a Rams whipping the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And that, I mean, granted, that's hope, but that's also what I see analytically, what I see.
I mean, there's things that you have to do to Patrick Mahomes that I see a lot of defenses not doing. For one thing, you cannot blitz or rush him. Your bread and butter with the Kansas City Chiefs is coverage. If you have to drop 6-7 guys back in coverage all day long and position them in schemes that will impede Kelsey's pursuit, run across the middle, because he's always trying to get into the middle. And if you can keep 2 guys to keep up with Hill, no matter where he goes, you see, they make their bread and butter off of Mahomes scrambling 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds, Hill or Kelsey comes free. You cannot let them come free. And that's the teams that did that beat the Chiefs, especially earlier this year. But once again, they think blitzing Mahomes is the key. No, it's not going to work. He's just going to buy time for his guys to get open. And they've got a few other second and third check down receivers that aren't bad, but Mahomes isn't looking for them. You know who he's looking for. Every time he rolls out, he's looking for 2 guys.
Yeah, Kelsey and the guy that should be in prison. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Well,
yes, you did, and you're right.
Yeah, and actually, there's a set of them.
The Rams have just got to cover those 2 guys, no matter how long Mahomes keeps the ball. And hopefully it won't be long, because between Donald and Miller and those other guys, they can get them pinned.
Well, I think that the Chiefs are going to be unstoppable, especially since they've signed Damon Arnett. I mean,
she's got jokes. She's got jokes, people. Hey, tip your bartenders and waitresses. She's here all evening.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't think anyone can get past them. Damon Arnett is the key.
Yeah, because Damon Arnett can tote his guns with Frank Clark, who's up on 2 gun charges, and should be in prison as well. That was the second portion. They got 2 guys that should be in prison, one in offense, one on defense. And now Damon Arnett, who likes to tote guns, can hang out with Frank Clark, who has 2 gun charges and should be in prison.
And where did Arnett get those guns? Those were like freaking Tommy guns or something. They were scary.
Fake to me. They look fake to me, but I don't know guns like that. All I know is Arnett is what I call a spectator corner. When someone catches the ball in front of them, he watches and says, "Oh my God, somebody just caught a ball on me." Then, if the guy is not down and continues to run, he's like, "Oh my God, I forgot to touch him." Next thing you know, touchdown. Arnett is one of those guys that cannot believe he got beat. I mean, he absolutely, if you see some of the film of him standing there after the catch, just frozen, he's an oh my God guy. And I didn't think the Raiders would have kept him anyway. No matter whether I don't think we would have kept him.
Yeah, he was gone. He was gone.
One of the Ohio State duo with Jeff. I'm having another Operation Okuda, and I thought they were the best corners in the draft in 2020. What it was? Yeah.
We should never draft an Ohio State quarterback or an Alabama receiver
ever again.
You know what?
Lesson learned.
I got you. But I'm gonna take a slight pass on Ruggs because Ruggs was learning the position. He was learning. He was learning how to elevate. He was going to be a star, and he made a stupid decision that cost somebody their life, and that's unfortunate. It really is.
But unfortunately, the Raiders are back in the same position we were before and after AB is looking for that field stretching speed demon receiver, take the top off of their defense. And us being back in the same position, which I'd love to transition back to that. But before we get that, is another passing the cup around. I would love to hear you all's grades on the Raiders season. First, offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. Give me 4 grades. Think about it long and hard, but I would love to hear your assessment of the season.
It overall is so hard to do that, doing it overall, because there were so many different versions of the team.
And they really were. You got
versions.
that right, Heidi. I mean, but if you were a teacher, as I was 15 years doing a grade, I mean, you'd have to think overall, how did they do?
I would give the offense a C.
Okay.
Enough to pass. Nothing spectacular. Can't be that inefficient in the red zone and get anything higher than that.
Right. Defense.
I'm paying attention. I'm just killing a bot. I'm sorry. While you're doing that, go ahead.
Defense. I would also give them a C. Definitely an improvement from last year, but ended up giving it up too many times. They just
25th in points allowed. Yeah. 32nd in red zone points allowed.
Yeah, let's call it a C minus.
Okay.
Special teams, I'll give special teams a B minus.
Okay.
And overall coaching,
it's hard.
God, if you're looking at Greg Olson, D.
Break it up. You can break them up if you want to.
Yeah. By the way,
thank you, John.
By the way, if you don't put it in the chat, I want everybody after the video. to make a comment on the video what your grades were for the season. What your grades were for the season. That is your homework assignment. All the folks that are watching this video, I say that the Raiders offense was X, the Raiders defense was X, the Raiders special teams was X, and overall I give them a whatever. Make sure you put
Thank you. We'd love to hear from you. Go ahead, Heidi.
Yeah, I can't give special teams any higher grade than a B. Just too many too many faux pas. Overall pretty solid, but they weren't special. They weren't special teams.
Special.
Yeah. Greg Olsen, God, did I say D?
Yeah,
I think I might have meant F. I think I might have meant F.
I think Greg Olsen gets a solid Zulu. Z.
He gets the last letter in the alphabet. And Captain, go ahead. Start with the offense now. Give me your true assessment. Take it in all of what you saw.
Wow.
17 games, 18 games. 18 games. What did you say?
I'd have to give the offense no higher than a B- because there were games that they played decently, but they could not score enough points to win. Figure that if the offense would have scored 20 points or above for most of the season, it would have won. Got to be a B- at best. At best, a B-. Defense, I would give them.
I wanted you to grade my calculus papers, dude. If you gave them a B-, if you're giving them a B-, I want you to grade my calculus.
I love that curve. We love the curve of that grading. Go ahead.
I'm a guy. I love curves. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. Okay?
Like the little bell-shaped curves.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Well, like I said, the bell-shaped curve.
Yes.
Defense, I'd give them. Wow. Again, hard to get. I'd give them a B- as well because they at times they play. At the beginning of the season they played good enough, and then they kind of like let off in mid-season. The last four, if I could grade them by the quarter, I would give them an A the last quarter of the year, and then in the playoffs they kind of, then it would get down to like that B- again. So
which
I would
averages out to
a B-.
Okay.
Okay.
Special teams.
Special teams. I'd give Cole and Carlson and the snapper an A+.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, there's 8 other 8 guys with them. Okay. And when you do kick coverage, punt coverage, when you do the entire crew, I'd give them a B because of the A+ that the 3 main guys get. Install everybody else to a B. I'll be the curve of those 3 performers, which obviously I think that the kicker and the punter should have been Pro Bowl All Pros, and at least the punter was. I think that Carlson deserved it, so I'm going to give them a B. Overall.
But that tells you how bad the coverage was by it only elevating them to a B.
Right.
Because Trent Sieg, Daniel Carlson, and AJ Cole were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I would say overall, even though, don't kill me, folks.
You guys are hedging, man. I thought I was going to get some decisiveness here.
No. Come on. Even though we made the playoffs, and that was fantastic. But again, it was basically because of that surge at the end. But if you're going 17 games.
That's right, 18.
Out of 18 games, I'd give them a C+. And I know that's because you're talking basically
the whole season.
B-, B, but when you put everything together, I know it doesn't kind of make sense because it's like, well, how can it be? Because I'm being hard on this team because this team, in my estimation, could have been, I know it woulda, coulda, shoulda, could have been the AFC West champs. They got embarrassed by Kansas City twice. But if you look at all the games that they could have won and should have won, Washington, the Bears, the Giants, you win those games. And you are talking that you are a possible AFC West champion, depending on what goes on. But you definitely would have been a more of a juggernaut. It is a solid C+.
Is that coaching? Have you got the coaching yet? Come on now, Captain.
Coaching? Wow.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for that grade. That's the last one.
Last one?
Yeah.
D+, Delta plus.
Delta
and
plus.
That's being kind. D+.
Yeah. See, I've had time to think about it, asking the question. And for me, the offense was at best a B-. I could have given them a C, but I thought those 6 overtime wins, cleaning up after the defense, okay? That's what overtime is. You're cleaning up after a defense that lost a fourth quarter lead. Now, you can't chop that any way you want to. Talking about the offense made the defense do things. No. If he had held the fourth quarter lead, like the Buffalo Bills yesterday on Sunday, then we wouldn't be talking about overtime now, would we?
No.
Okay? You see, that's what I'm talking about. So I give my offense a B-. I give my defense a C. There were some games where they held it down and kept the game close for the offense, but too many fourth quarter leads were lost this year. I give them a C. Special teams, I'm sorry, they get a solid A. Even taking into account that Dallas Cowboy game where they gave up.
And you're talking about me being nice? You're playing teacher's pet with if I had an apple right now.
I'm sorry. They pulled our fat out of the fire. And if it happens to be that they call kickers, punters, and snappers special teams, is that my fault? No. And finally, coaching, which is an F. I'm just going to put that F right on it. That I can't find one single game of the 18 that game preparation, game planning, play designing, play calling, player development over the 18 games. In other words, were they better game 16 than they were game 1? I can't find any measure where this coaching staff this year excelled or even did an average job. They get an F from me. And look at it. Look at all of our grades out there. Oh, and they split up.
Again, after the video.
All get Fs.
After the video, please, in the comments section after the video, don't forget, because we are interactive here and we want people to know what we were talking about, okay? Because if you just do it in the chat, that people, they won't say, well, what were they talking about? We want to be interactive. We want to inspire people to come on over and see us more. And you get that when you are interactive with folks that are commenting on the video. So please, after the video, every time you pop out, do it via the comment section. Captain, ladies, and you say, oh, by the way, Peggy was right on about this, or that Heidi was right on about this, or Captain was screwed up about this. I'll take it. But do the comments. Go
ahead, Heidi.
I can think of a couple games where the coaches did okay. And that is where they took a game plan and developed it and applied it to the players properly. And they are.
Maybe one or two.
Get this.
We probably agree, Heidi. Which games were they?
The ones after Gruden left the team.
That's right.
Because
I knew.
They used Gruden's game plan, but were able to apply it using their coaching ability.
Right. and that was the Eagles
and the Broncos.
Denver game in Denver, and then the Eagles game. They still spotted the Eagles, 7? And then they came back with like a whirlwind, and then they didn't let them score for a while. And the score was closer than the game actually was.
And of course, that was the last game we saw Ngakoue make a difference at all. But go ahead. Go ahead, Heidi.
Gruden always game planned 2 games in advance. And so those were the last 2 that he did. And I can say that everything kind of came together on those. And those were good. And then after Ruggs and the tragedy with Tina Tintor, everything collapsed.
The wheels just
absolutely collapsed.
Yeah. And again, it's a tough assignment for a guy who started the season as a special teams coach, suddenly to find himself thrust into the driver's seat. I get that. But overall, I just cannot see how this was a coaching staff that got the most out of the players they coach. So we're going to transition. Oh, and I'm a teacher, so there's more homework. We're going to go right into your Raider MVP this season.
I know. I know mine.
Mine right away is Carlson. Most valuable player. If not for his foot, we don't win 6 games. We don't go to the playoffs. We go nowhere. We don't catch up in overtime. We don't win the game in regulation in the last seconds of the game. And that's my vote. Captain, who's yours?
Other than Carlson is an obvious choice as well, but I'm going to put it down to the gentleman that made the most out of this season, almost historic, and that's Hunter Renfrow is my MVP.
It was tough. It was a tough call for me too. Hunter was one of the few Raider players whose game just exploded this year. I mean, he
one
just
catch away. One catch away from tying Timmy Brown for 104. And I was just I wanted him to do it. I wanted him to do that. I wanted him right on that level with Timmy Brown, 104 for the year. And then unfortunately didn't make it.
And one thing I'd like to see Hunter do next year to improve even more, of course, he'll need good coaching for this, is I want to see more run after the catch. Okay. There's a lot of catch, but there's also a lot of stumbling. And I think it's because he does these amazing cuts and twirls and whatever he does to get free. And then he doesn't have the balance to right himself and keep running down the field. I saw a few catch and runs, but I'd like to see a lot more from Renfrow. Heidi, your MVP?
I think I'm going to choose the one simply because it has to be him. Although there are a couple that are very worthy. And 2 that I would say would be Carlson and Cole. Just they are very worthy. But it has to be Derek Carr.
Yes.
Just because he's the leader. And he somehow got the team through that cluster of a horrible incident after horrible incident. And took a special teams coach, a guy who's been coaching for almost 40 years and has never been head coach before, and somehow took him as head coach and the mishmash of the players that he had and dragged the team over the finish line into the kicking and screaming into the playoffs. It just has to be him.
And I like that pick. And we had some of our commenters pick Carr as well. And I mean, you just can't overlook him hanging in there despite all the chaos and confusion that's constantly going on around him. Championship quarterbacks don't have these kind of distractions, but here at the Raiders, Carr has. And that transitions us in We're talking about coaching.
1 second. Folks, I know somebody was trying to call into the show. You don't call into the show until if you want to talk to the ladies, and that is after all of the spiels, because we got a large show tonight. We got a lot to discuss. When the ladies are done, they will say, "Hey, we are now ready," and then you let them know. I just wanted, because they were trying to call on the phone. I wanted to let that know.
That's fine, and as long as the callers are dealing with our topics, I mean, we're going to throw a lot of stuff out here at you,
Yes.
and I mean, I'd like to hear your take on some of our topics tonight, and that's why we were transitioning into Bisaccia, Olsen, and Bradley. Why haven't they left the building?
Well, Olsen
Anybody know?
Olsen has
Nope,
left.
I have not seen any confirmation on the internet that Olsen has been terminated. His contract has been terminated. Nothing. Have you?
Jack Kenna, I see it. We will get to that. That's one of the things that we are going to talk about with the ladies. So I'm not ignoring you, shipmate. I just want to make sure that you knew. No, I have that.
We're getting there, Jack.
The tweet is that the Raiders have informed Greg Olsen that he is no longer
They took that tweet down. It's no longer available. I haven't heard word one about Bisaccia, Bradley, and Olsen. They took it down because I saw the earlier tweet last week, but then it got taken down. I see nothing on the internet about Olsen being gone. I'm sorry, I can't find it.
I think the reason for that is they are biding their time in laying the foundation for the team, and that they want that president of football operation and or GM to be hired, and then make the decision about the head coach who brings in the coaching staff. I think that they're just taking their time because they want. I'm praying they're taking their time.
I mean, because
to lay the foundation.
They haven't done this thing right in years. I mean, decades. They have not. What Captain always talks about, the chain of command. They have never done it right. They get their
I don't think they've even made their decision on Carr. And I think
they shouldn't. They shouldn't. The head coach and the GM should.
And I think part of it is going to be if Carr likes the decisions that they make for the coach. Carr wants the coaching staff that's there to stay. And if he doesn't, if they don't stay, he might not be very amenable to signing an extension.
Olsen cannot stay. I mean, I could get along with Bradley staying, even though, you know, and Bisaccia, yes, it doesn't really matter to me, but that offensive coordinator position, we need a creative genius. We need somebody who knows play design at several levels.
We'll take Bill Musgrave.
We'll take him back.
Well, actually, have you noticed that the folks that have been asked to come in for the coaching auditions or for the interviews, other than Bisaccia, because that was a courtesy as the interim, every person that's been mentioned so far has been a defensive candidate. So
was Del Rio. Was Del Rio. You know, I don't trust that.
Wait a second. Okay.
Dennis Allen.
They've asked for, and what is it? Jared Mayo was interviewed, I think, today. Jared Mayo was on the schedule for today. They've asked for and should be getting an interview with Todd Bowles, I think, after like this week, I think Thursday, Friday, Todd Bowles. And they've also put out feelers. I'm not sure if that they've been given permission yet to interview D'Amico Ryans. So that is 3 very stalwart defensive minds. And I like that. I do like the fact that I tell you what, if you're going to win in this league, it takes a defense to stop Mahomes and Allen and whatever the Titans trot out there, but other than Derrick Henry and whoever's going to be giving him the ball. I'm talking widespread AFC. You need a defense that's going to stop these guys. I think we have the players, plus or minus Derek Carr, because again, the decision has been made. But we have the players. We need to upgrade on the line, obviously. But we have the tools on offense. Retooling some of the important things. You need a speed guy or a better guy than. It pains me to say this because I thought that Edwards was just going to be that dude, and he might still be that dude. He's coming into year 3, and I think that there's still a lot of upside in Edwards, but we still need that number 1 to go after. But we need a strong defense, and I'm glad that the people that have come in do it. And by the way, people say, well, who's interviewing these guys? Well, it is Ken Herrick. Okay. It is the guy who's running the Raiders right now as the interim president. They're the guys that are conducting interviews, and they're the people that are signing contracts. So
but the football pedigree of these guys, what's the pedigree? Where have they been, and where they run solid football organizations and produce, playoff teams and stuff? None.
Ken Herrick is a great mind, Peggy. Ken Herrick.
No. I'm just talking about the experience in running an organization and bringing them to playoff or championship level play. With there's a lot of things that go into, besides luck, that go into producing a Super Bowl team. And I think that one of the ingredients that you have to have at the GM level, you have got to have a solid football guy that knows how a winning team is built and how it runs. The head coach works for the GM or with the GM. The GM does not work for the head coach.
Well, and I get that, but that's one of the reasons why they've actually interviewed. I can't remember the guy's name that's in New England. I knew his name earlier today, and I apologize. They've asked for permission for Dodds out of Indianapolis, who has a Raider pedigree. Right. Okay, and Dodd is.
Are we talking besides bowls? Are we still talking about newbies, first timers? Is that what we're talking about here?
No, because there's also information out there that McDaniels is on the radar as well.
Who wants McDaniels? Heidi, help me out here. The Colts are still waiting for him to take the head coaching job.
I can't remember the guy who's the Patriots something, but he's being considered for GM. And the rumor is, if he comes as GM, McDaniels comes with him. And that makes me want to take an ice pick and jam it into my temple.
Okay. In McDaniel's defense, okay?
The Colts are still waiting for him to come.
Okay. If I might address that, Miss Peggy. In McDaniel's, okay, McDaniels was given a bait and switch before he went to Indianapolis, okay?
That's his story.
Which time? How many teams has he toyed with over the years?
Actually,
really, a lot of teams.
I think it's only been the only time that I even remember McDaniels.
No, it's been more than he was toying with the Dolphins at one time for sure. Had interviewed with the Dolphins. Okay, I mean, I before they hired Gazy. And I think that you have a guy who's not sure he wants to stray too far away from Belichick. And I don't trust those guys from New England. I just don't trust them. They make commitments and then they back out. And then they put a spin on it, giving a story, which Captain's going to tell me the story about what happened to Josh in Indianapolis. He was baited and switched.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him at that word. I will take him at that word. I will.
And and what he was offered when he looked at the contract and was ready to sign, it just wasn't what they said it was going to be. Is that the ears A's?
Well,
another untrustworthy bunch.
Yeah, exactly. That wouldn't surprise me either. But it was also that we're going to give you this, and you're going to have a private masseuse, and we're going to do all of these facilities for you, and you have a maid from Guatemala. I'm making things up, obviously. Okay, I'm making things up.
Okay, the guy from the Patriots is Dave Ziegler.
Dave Ziegler.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And he is the Patriots director of player personnel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
there's already a Patriots guy in our organization on the scouting side.
Yes,
scouting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I understand about McDaniel and the deal, And see, once again, Mark Davis shouldn't be dealing with these guys that like Gruden who tell you take me 10 years, 100 million, and I'll make you a star. That's the deal you just proposed to me for New England. You take me, I'll bring Josh McDaniels, and I'll make you a star. Okay. When is he gonna stop listening to these guys, get his own brain trust because he doesn't know the people in the game, obviously, and really look for guys, first a GM, who will help him find a good head coach. Why can't there be separation in the head coach and the GM position? Why can't there be chain of command, Cap? I mean, there you go. Jeff, don't trust New England. Did not they send us the Trent Brown package? And for all we know, they could have sent us the AB package, right? So it could fail. So we could get from Pittsburgh to New England via Oakland. For all we know, they could have sent it up. Oh my! I'm so sorry. I know I get savage sometimes, but
and who was it? Mike Haynes. He worked out too. So yeah.
Oh, he did. Yeah, really. I Captain. When we talk, I just want to know, why is Olsen still in my building?
Well, the news that they took that tweet down, unfortunately, is news to me because again, I only have so much time to peruse when I am.
It was up for days. It was up for 2 or 3 days, so easily you could have. But then all of a sudden they took it down, and then it went silent.
Okay, well then, having said that, then did they take the same feed off about Mike Mayock not being the GM, or is that still up?
No, that's definite. And I was very sad about the Mayock decision. I don't know, Heidi, your feelings on this too, because
I was expecting it for the last several months.
Yeah, I felt he got caught up in the whole Gruden thing. He just got caught up in the traffic. It was just, no one's gonna come to the Raiders. To me, no one in their right mind, no good coach, no bona fide coach is going to come with the Gruden gang still in the house. You're not going to impose a defensive coordinator on me, an offensive coordinator on me. No, everybody's got to go.
Well, by the same token, then why is everybody still in the house? Because every one of those people is part of the Gruden gang. Bisaccia has been part of the Gruden gang since Gruden was in Tampa, okay? And Olsen was a 2-time member of the Gruden gang, and Bradley was brought in under Gruden. So I don't understand the disconnect there, okay? And the other thing is that, and it's only hearsay, but they're saying, not hearsay, that maybe one of the reasons why Mayock was let go is that there's other shoes to drop in the email scandal. Because remember, Mayock was at ESPN the same time that Gruden was at ESPN, and maybe that's a bit of a casualty which has not gotten out yet. So, right. Again, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. But we don't know what we don't know. Okay. And the other thing is that people in the building do know that Gruden and Mayock had their choices for who they wanted to draft, but we also don't know what bad choices that Mayock made that are pure Mayock. Now, granted, Mayock did fantastic jobs allegedly, and I would give him this on the 3rd through the 7th round in picking up these guys as well as the unrestricted free agents. Great things. So, there's a lot that we don't know, and it's unfortunate, like you said, that he got caught up in that nuclear.
It has to be a house cleaning. No one's gonna come here and for Mark. I don't even think. And Al used to do that. Al used to hire coaches and tell him who his staff would be. And I pray that Mark Davis is not following that particular modeling. You gotta let a guy bring in his staff, but first you got to get a GM in place before you bring in a head coach.
You need a team president, and I think that I think that Marcel Reese will be named the team president shortly.
Is that Marcel Reese, the former player?
That's Marcel Reese, the former player that has been.
Oh, they're hoping that he'll be a John Lynch.
Marcel Reese is one of the top Mark Davis right men. He is very much in there. He's
I'm looking at his experience
right at the top
level. See, the problem with the experience level is not necessarily so much they know what to do. It's that you can be easily manipulated into making bad football decisions because you don't know, you don't have a vision overall of what you want to accomplish. And that's what happened to McKenzie, and that's what happened to Mayock. The head coaches manipulated them into decisions that were bad for the team. And I don't understand. That's why you don't get a guy in a GM spot with and the name Louis Riddick keeps being thrown around.
And Louis Riddick and Mark Davis do not get along, and it is a pipe dream. And I would love to have Louis Riddick's, go-getter attitude. And the fact that they were talking about Louis Riddick being the GM under Gruden before they had Mike Mayock there leads me to believe that Gruden said, hey, Mark, I'd like to bring in Riddick, and probably Mark Davis gave him the stink eye, said no effing way.
I mean, that's all I hear is Riddick. And the first thing I ask, what GM experience does he have? Stop bringing in rookie GMs. Stop bringing in guys that have absolutely never, planned the 5-year vision for their franchise, how they see it, what kind of team they want to build. We've had 2 GMs in a row with 0 experience. At what point do you say...
But Riddick wouldn't be the GM, though, Peggy. Riddick would be the president of football operations.
I would hope so, but most of the people that are talking about Riddick are talking about him for GM. They don't see it quite the way I see it. I think it's time to get a GM in who's actually been in the GM spot in another franchise. This idea of bringing in these guys that are director of player personnel or have these front office positions and they want to transition to their first GM position. Why do the Raiders have to be Heidi? Why do the Raiders always have to be the guinea pig?
Because they choose to be.
Why do they have to test their wings in our backyard?
Okay, well,
because our grass is soft. When they fall, they'll just bounce gently.
I know. In the desert, right?
Who would you have as GM that's been a GM that's available right now? Because there aren't a lot of names out there.
Well, I would throw out a joke. It starts with a G, just came from the Giants. But
no.
No, I thought I sent a shiver up your spine, Cap.
Oh no,
you know I'm talking about the big ghetto men.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't have him here if he was the last.
Yeah, the only name out there that I know of. Okay, no, I'll say two. Dorsey, who used to be the GM in Kansas City and Cleveland, and he's available. Okay. Right. And Bill Polian. Oh no, I'll give you another one. I
love me some Polian.
Right, and Bill Polian would be like a star too high because I don't think Bill Polian would want anything to do with the Raiders. But I'll give you Mike Holmgren as well.
And Mike has all those problems. As long as you keep Mike off the field, he's okay. I can have him in there as long as you keep him off the field. Don't have him have any contact with players and coaches. And that's Mike's problem. He doesn't do chain of command too well.
Yeah.
I'm the authority. Pounding on the
respect my authority.
Yeah.
If you get a department, just let me know. I'll do it. Oh yes, I want some cheesy poofs. Yeah, give me some cheesy poofs.
Oh, now they're really telling jokes. Somebody suggested Jerry Reese. Cast off. I'm at Gilligan's Island. Cast off. Refugees. No way. Jerry Reese, absolutely not.
See what happens when I do Cartman? I get all choked up.
I know. We've been talking about the GM. We've been talking about the head coach. We've been talking about the fact that no decision has been made. We'll just have to be patient.
Right.
And basically right now they're interviewing for GM.
Right.
They're not interviewing for head coach. The obligatory courtesy interview for Rich Bisaccia was made. It needed to be made. He had earned that. But pretty much they're looking for a GM right now. And it's not going to be Louis Riddick.
Oh. I mean, I don't even know where these pipe dreams come from. Well, let me not say pipe because, that has other connotations. But I know that we are looking. I would love to have somebody in the house who has some experience, is not going to let the head coach run him over. And Mile High, you asked about Holmgren being active. He most certainly has. He's been doing consultant stints all around the league. Rumor was that the Seahawks, I thought the Seahawks were going to bring him back in the house to help Pete Carroll with his drafts because he done had about 5 or 6 drafts with all busts. The Raiders always think that they're doing the worst in the league, but there's other teams that have, just totally struck out with their drafts as well. I mean, we're just not the only team to do that. So go ahead.
ESPN is about the most unsafe network that is on the planet, and he is safer at ESPN.
Yeah. I mean, why do you want to bring in another commentator? Why? I mean, then make him a GM. The head coach will have him wrapped around his finger in no time.
They tried it with Mayock, and we'll see how that. We see how that worked.
Yeah. I mean, we can do better, and I think our problem starts is because Mark just doesn't have the football chops. He didn't come up in the game. He's never been a coach. He's never, had held any position of significance on a pro football team. Never. And I think that's where our problems are. He's always looking for a shortcut of somebody that'll do it for him. Of course, he's looking for the dream guru, but Aren't we all?
Yeah, and I agree, Richie. Mayock did not have normal GM power. Mayock was a GM who was underneath the coach. The head coach was the GM, and the GM, Mike Mayock, was like Coach GM A. He wasn't. He was 1B. He was not the actual GM. He answered to Gruden.
And that's not normal.
Yeah,
that's just not normal.
That being said, he's gone. There was too much question between powers that be of who actually made those first round draft choices.
Who knew?
Who actually made Cleveland Farrell? Who actually made Alex Leatherwood? There's a lot of argument about that. Ultimately, it comes down to only Gruden and only Mayock knew. And
they ain't talking.
They're not talking, and it doesn't matter. Gruden's gone, right. And Mayock is, he's collateral damage. He went with them.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like I said, I kind of wanted to see what Mayock did without Gruden breathing down his neck. But on the other hand, I could see how that just wasn't going to work when you were searching for a president, when you were searching for a head coach. You can't. You were either going to build around him or you're going to get rid of him and start from scratch again. And that's exactly what happened. And I wanted to go just on a sideline note, which is one of the things that we should talk about. Even though we don't have a GM, we have needs on this team.
I
wanted to have.
We know you have needs.
Yes, we do.
We'll talk about that off air, okay?
Yes, we will.
We have talked about how we can't talk about that on air. We've talked about that before.
Your mind is in the gutter. But
that's right. Our mind is, but nevertheless, I still have my trusty Fredericks of Hollywood catalog right here for you. So that when we get off air.
Okay. I'm waiting for off air. That's good. Okay.
But we have needs. And I'm sure people will debate, but I think there's some consensus. And I wanted to hear from you too. Just what our need are. And let's make it 1, 2, 3. Let's not talk about the whole team. Let's make it what would be your first, what would you looking for first, second, and third?
I need y'all to head over to my OnlyFans and sign up.
Yeah. This is not OnlyFans.
Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. I got it.
Oh, is it OnlyFans?
First need is we need a GM. We need an GM.
I'm talking about on the field, of course.
Players, you're talking about.
Even though we don't have a GM, and Heidi, your contribution was very much appreciated. But yes. I'm more looking for some more precision thinking about what you saw and what you think are first, second, and third priority for this season coming up, for this draft coming up.
Need a key to the offensive line. There's still a gaping hole there.
What position? I know.
That depends on what you want to do with Denzel Good, and assuming that they're going to keep him around, because I believe he could actually be the right tackle. And I believe Alex, yes, I do. I believe he could be the right tackle. And Alex Leatherwood could be the right guard. The question is,
don't get me started on Leatherwood when I have to bring up Colton Miller's 2018 season. Go ahead.
The most obvious gap is left guard, because we have nobody for there.
That's Denzel Good.
But so we were going to put Denzel at right tackle.
No. We're not going to put Denzel at right tackle.
Okay.
So who are you going to put at right tackle?
we are either going to grab one of the best free agent right tackles available, and I've heard the kid from the Jets, and I know that people are going to get a lot of flack for it, but there's a kid that plays in the Mountain West contest whose name is Falele or something, who's a mountain 6'8", and could both run and pass block. And get this, he plays right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He plays right tackle.
Now, keep in mind, we're drafting number 22 this year.
Okay? He should be there. You should be.
And so you're looking for people. So Heidi, you said
number one is
line with offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line, depending on how you want to solve it, offensive line.
Okay.
I agree.
We need a rock defensive tackle. We saw improvements in that area this year. Imagine what would happen if we ended up with like an all-pro there.
Oh God, my wet dream for years.
Come on.
Women do have wet dreams. I've had it for 5 years. Go ahead. And then third, go ahead.
We need that number one receiver. We need that. Ruggs was developing into what we needed. He's gone.
Yes.
He's gone. We need, Devontae Adams. That would be a dream come true. That's not going to happen. He's going to be tagged. Someone like Allen Robinson, Godwin.
He's not going to be franchised.
Oh no, not Allen Robinson. Please don't even throw him in the conversation with guys like Devontae. I mean, not Allen. He's
no, but I'm saying that Adams is not realistic.
No, okay. So now,
but he would be my first choice.
Agent. Okay,
he would be my first choice is Devontae Adams because I saw him and Carr, light it up at Fresno State for so many years, and it was so beautiful.
I mean, it's so almost beautiful. But Heidi, you're thinking about the free agent market for the wide receiver and DT. You're thinking about free agent for all three of those positions you mentioned, right? You're going through the free
not necessarily.
Who could we draft? Who could you live with
the
draft?
I kind of like Captain's idea of drafting the right tackle. Is that guy out of Hawaii, Fresno State, where
he's Mountain West? Richie Ritchie, where is he at? Because he's a Mountain West guy, and Richie Ritchie said for me to shut up because he wants him for the Broncos.
And they can sure use the help that they're not going to get.
Yeah,
although the Broncos will get a first crack, and O-line is usually not where they go in the draft.
Yeah, but no, they're gonna try to grab Pickett or Corral at number 7.
Yeah, they're drafting way high. They're gonna go. They almost are forced to go quarterback, but they're not going to do that either. But let's go to it. So you said Heidi, O-line, right tackle. Captain says right tackle. That left guard, we cannot leave Simpson on the roster at all. I mean, absolutely not. He cannot even stay on the roster. So
I would rather have Brandon Parker be right tackle than have John Simpson be the left guard. That's what I would rather have.
Brandon Parker moves to left out. That's his position. His position is left out.
It was just to watch him and Parker and Simpson struggle this year and never get better. They never got better the whole year. I said, have you learned nothing? I mean, is every D lineman that you meet overpowering you? And now I noticed nobody talked about the center. You didn't.
No. See, I think that
you must be happy with the center spot.
I'm happier with what I've seen at the near the end of the season that he played a lot better. He played a lot better.
He did get better. He did get better, which indicates there's talent there. But Simpson and Parker,
no, left out.
There's no talent.
No, and I got another place for Simpson. He could be the valet at the Tropicana.
Which
He's
one?
A water boy.
And of course, it goes without saying that we will saying goodbye to Mr. Incognito.
Oh
yeah, he's gone.
Okay.
I think that whoever comes in will be smart enough. Elise, wait, please God, let me say what the next thing I'm saying is true and not just a fantasy. The next guys who come in would be smart enough to say bye, Richie. And again, what the fact that he was a decent presence, but he was basically at least a better presence than Twinkies and Twitter was. Trent Brown, but he played about the same amount of snaps too.
That's right, and was gone about more time than Twinkies, way more time. Incognito, was at the end of his career. There's no excuse for Brown. Incognito, I can understand. He's more or less at the end of his career. Okay, Captain, your first, second, and third choices.
Okay, I said my first choice, which would be a right tackle after we know that Denzel Good is coming back. Okay. But still, I would add Denzel Good. I want to make sure he's coming back because that injury. I guess the only good thing is it was at the very first game, so he's got a long time to rehab it, and I think that we will be good with Good. Okay, but I'm throwing Good in at left guard. And Brandon Parker, see ya.
Sayonara.
And Simpson. No, Simpson can go on The Simpsons as an extra cast member. Okay?
Exactly. Cartoon, honey. Cartoons.
But right tackle via either the draft, Falalele, or whatever the general. And by the way, it was Minnesota. Richie Riche says, and here's another one. And I thank Richie because, like I say, Richie is very smart. Right tackle Dennis Kelly and draft Daniel Faalele. Okay, where's Dennis Kelly at? I always got there's a kid from the Jets, and it's not Kelly, but there's a kid from the Jets that everybody is talking about that would be a great addition at right tackle.
Right.
So,
we'll have to do our homework because it's not just that. We have to look at where our cap numbers are. We have to look at basically who the O-line coach will be.
Yeah.
We don't know that. That's another guy that's still in the building. And I happen to like Tom Cable a lot. But I'm just, because I gave an F to the coaching staff, I got to throw him in there too. We don't know. Obviously, you're not going to pick anybody in the draft without consulting your new staff. That's why, this thing dragging into February kind of worries me a little bit because you don't have adequate. You let Mayock go. Okay, so he's gone.
But the
preparation, and scouting, and those things that go into the draft. You need time for that.
No, but the scouting department was left intact. None of those guys have been given their pink slips, and I don't think that they will be given their pink slips till after the draft because they do work all year.
Exactly. It's a lot of prep work running up to the draft and in picking, presenting the right guys. But we got to know what kind of GM we're going to have. So, Captain, what's your second after that O-line situation? What's your second choice?
Once I know what defense we're running, and again, that's important, I want to either have a stud defensive tackle, probably one, and then 1A is a linebacker.
He wants to split it up.
is a linebacker. Well, no, I'm just saying I want a stud defensive tackle, but I also want, depending on if we want a 3-4 or 4-3, but I also know that we need another linebacker to go with Perryman and Diablo. We still need that third linebacker, even if we're running a lot of base 5-2-4.
I want 7 first-round picks, and then they'll be able to take care of everything.
Yeah, that's right. That'll take care of everything.
But I'm saying
half of them are going to be bust. You know that. That's just
if we're lucky.
You asked me. I didn't say what round. You said what my needs are. My needs are offensive line, defensive tackle, and linebacker.
Okay.
We can't draft a linebacker above the 5th round. It has to be 5th round or lower.
Napoleon Harris, 1st round.
Right. Remember, we're kind of sort of at the end of these rounds, and a lot of guys that you're looking at may not be on the board unless you get a steal that nobody's really looking at. And so, Captain, you got your 3, but you want a 4th.
No, I need a number 1 wide receiver because that's my next. Granted, we have Deshaun. I don't know if Deshaun's on a 1 or what his status is, and Deshaun would probably come back because he likes playing for his hometown Raiders, even though they're not in his hometown anymore. And he showed that when his head is up here, he is in the game. Okay, so we need a number 1 receiver that's going to be able to stretch the field. He doesn't necessarily need to be a speed guy, but he needs to have at least enough speed and route mechanics that he would be good. Now, people are talking about Olave out of Ohio State, but he's going to be gone in the 1st round. So if you want
more Ohio State guys, go ahead.
Again, you beat me to the punch. I said the fact that he's an Ohio State guy scares me out of me. Okay.
Are there any wide receivers that you would coming out in the draft? There were a few juniors that I saw declared. I don't watch college as much as I should. Sorry, but there were junior wide receivers that were talking about declaring. And
there's a kid out of USC that people are talking about, and his name escapes me, and I apologize. Also, Richie Riche is also said we do need a cornerback, and we can, like I said, we found Hobbs in like the 3rd or 4th round, so they did some good scouting, and those are the same guys that are still on roster right now.
At the rate Hobbs is going, we're going to need a replacement for him before the season starts.
But that also goes to the fact that you need to get a head coach that is a stern disciplinarian.
Either that or a good private detective service. Come on now. There's nothing that says that you can't follow these rookies around and make notes on what they're doing.
Al Davis did it.
Al Davis did it all the time. That's how he caught Marcus with the cocaine. Okay? You got to understand, there's no right that these players have to do what the H they want when they're off the field. They need to be cared for, and they need to be watched. Somebody needs to be keeping a log. If they had done that for Henry Ruggs, they would have found out way early that this boy was racing his car all around Vegas, going on drag races and going on drinking binges and getting in his car long before the tragedy occurred. They need to take care of their players. These are assets. These are investments, and you have to have a detective service or somebody to put it in their contracts. For the first year that you are a Raider, someone will be tailing and category. Once them young boys know that.
And Vegas has great private detectives.
Yes, they do.
They're excellent.
with all those marital things going on, you need to hire somebody to trail these young guys because they're going to be influenced not to make good decisions. And that's just the way it is these days. They're so young. We forget how young they are. They're 22, 23 years old. For the first time, $1 million in the bank. What do you expect them to do? Go out and buy a fast car, get drunk every night, and then go out and kill somebody? This is what happens when you don't take care of your players. and Henry Ruggs wasn't well cared for by our organization. And I think that extends a standard that's been going on for a little while. I don't think the organization took very good care of Carr or Mac, for that matter. Not really when you look at what they put them through. When you look at Mac begging for a defensive tackle for years to help him out, some sort of help on that line, and he never got it. I mean, Carr begging, for offensive coordinator. He gets one. They send him away. Take this neophyte that's never downing, that's never been an offensive coordinator in his life. The Raiders, I don't know when Al took good care of his players. And you can tell he did because of all the legends that still hang around the team. They remember that people looked out for him, and Al caught some of the players. Some of those legends have related to me stories of Al calling them in and telling them, if you don't stop the drinking and driving and drinking and around at 12 midnight, I'm going to trade you. Well, Al would tell them that.
Peggy, Al took good care of his players. He took good care of his players' families. I mean, he was the father. And it's not like Carr or Mac needed the help off the field. Those two were actually two guys that were okay off the field. But you're right. As far as the organization goes, as far as they are as players, they have been out there just hanging in the wind, getting,
zero
thrown from side to side. Yeah.
Just throw him a new head coach. Get him a new coordinator. Don't hire anybody to help him. Don't let him be without a speedy field stretching receiver for 3 straight years. Okay?
I will say this, though, that the Raiders of old, under the patriarch, is not the Raiders of present. Because even the greats that we would have, remember all the people that would come in, okay? I have it on good authority that they don't do it as much anymore, that the ties to those Raiders, once a Raider, always a Raider, they don't do as much of that anymore. They really don't.
No. They used to have luncheons and banquets for them. They would fly all of the players to Hawaii, or one year they all went to Cancun as a group, like 80 with their wives.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't do that kind of thing as much anymore. You're right.
Right. That. And even on Al's birthday, they would have the celebration in Vegas. Because I actually got a bag, a George Glenn bag that was from that celebration, and it's one of the things that I was given by my friend John Kingdon. Was one of those bags that was a special thing that they had for that birthday celebration in Vegas. Beautiful bag with the stitching and all the things like that. They used to do all of these different things for the alumni, and the alumni Association of the Raiders used to be the strongest of all of the 32 NFL teams, and now it's a mere afterthought, and it's unfortunate, but it's just the way it is.
Like you said, it's a new century, a new owner, and unfortunately, we have to accept his priorities. Now, I didn't give my 3 targets, and number 1 is that DT. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I got to give all my props to Phylon this year. Even though we lost him, we lost him in a Charger game, I believe. Yeah. But a true 3T defensive tackle. This guy could not only plug that hole in the middle and occupy 2 offensive linemen, but he could break free with stunts and different moves and get to the quarterback. And he knew how to rack and tackle. We need another guy like him. Number 1 for me, and it's been number 1 for me for years. Number 2 for me is that field stretching wide receiver. It really is. Number 2 is that position. And number 3, I can't even go with linebacker. I'd have to go with another corner. Unfortunately, we still, and I take it that means, for those of you that are mentioning corner, that you've given up on Mr. Mullen.
No, I haven't. That's why.
Is there a problem? Is there a problem?
That's not why I have that as one of the big priorities. I think that we are decent with Mullen right now. We need to pick up a corner, but we can pick one up in the latter rounds. And actually, Faison was not horrible. He was sometimes a little above average. Sometimes he got burnt like Elvis Patterson, toast. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you guys don't remember Elvis Patterson, you got to come back. His nickname was Toast because he got toasted. But I think that is one of the things. We're good with Mullen as long as he can stay healthy. I think that I like what I saw out of the back corners the last portion of the year.
Right. And I did see that. But Raiders defense got to figure out, why is it that they still are the top team for allowing points allowed in the red zone? How do we get there to number 32? It seemed this way people used to describe a defense, right? Between the 20s, they let them eat up yards. Once they got in the 20, to the red zone, that defense stiffened up. The Raiders are the exact opposite.
Well, actually on both sides, they're number 32 on offensive red zone and defensive red zone.
No, they're not 30. No, they're not 32 on the offensive side. I heard people saying that. No, and it's bottom 10. It's bad enough.
Okay,
but defense is 32 in worse than Jacksonville, the Jets, and all the teams that barely had 4 or 5 wins. There's a disconnect in whatever Bradley's trying to do. We improved in our defense against the run and our defense against the pass. But there's a disconnect somewhere, because I tell you what else we were 32nd in, and that's turnovers. Can't get no interception. Can't get no fumbles. The worst teams in the league were better at generating turnovers than the Raider defense. One way to get a team off the field, and Buffalo Bills, you must be listening to me. The other way, besides making a stop, is getting a turnover, a fumble. When I looked at the playoff games this weekend, the one thing I saw, when those defensive players converged on the runner, the first thing they went for was the ball. Okay? They were reaching in there, snatching, grabbing, trying to get. When's the last time you seen a Raider defensive player snatching and grabbing and trying to create a turnover?
I think it was 1986.
I ask our audience, when is the last time you saw, when the Raiders defensive players converged to make a tackle, that someone was reaching to rip the ball out? Okay? I saw that all weekend long. I don't see the Raiders doing that. The other thing I don't see them is blitzing. Blitzes cause turnovers. Everybody blitzed but us. And that means no turnovers. That's where the blitz, the statistics are that 67% of the time you blitz, you will create a turnover. Now, whether you actually get possession of the ball is another question. But 67% of the time that you blitz, turnovers are caused. Either through an interception, because the guy has to throw too early, too soon, off, kilter, or you get a fumble. Strip, sack, strip, fumble. I mean, we don't do that. I don't understand what we have to do to get to that place where that becomes second nature. I mean, you tackle, you converge, there's 2 of you. One of you goes for the ball. And I don't see it.
We haven't gotten turnovers since 2016.
And 2016 was our best year, and even then we were 17th in turnovers, but it helped us. Okay, it helped us win a lot of games. You end a drive by A, making a stop, or B, getting a turnover. And we didn't do B. And we only had one way to end drives. And that's why 80% of the time a team got in the red zone, they scored on us. We don't know how to get the ball back. And that's one of the things we could talk about in terms of what do the Raiders need. I don't know what players. It's about coaching. It still goes back to coaching. It absolutely does, Cap. Now, I don't know.
And what was your grade for the coaching staff, Peggy, for those that are coming in late? By the way, for those that are coming in late, make sure in the comments section after this video, in the comments section, you give a grade. Not in the chat, for continuity. In the video comments, your grades for the offense, the defense, the special team, the coaching staff, and the team overall. That's one thing. And
we'd love to see that. We'd love to see your opinions on that, because it makes a difference how you saw this season. Go ahead, Captain Jack. You were saying.
No, I'm just saying make sure you do that, because the interactivity is what we're looking for here, because the interactivity makes sure that everybody out there knows that we have a stalwart show with the Wenches, and that we want more interactivity, want more people to come in here to know how awesome that these ladies are.
But going back to what I was saying about the lack of turnovers do something else. They give you good field position. They put your offense in at the position where they don't have to drive 50, 60 yards every time they get a possession, which is what you were putting Carr and this offense in. And I think they did a great job of driving till they got to the 20-yard line. But they always had to drive the field. Did you notice that? We're always having to drive the length of the field. And Carr got good at that. But that's because you have a defense that's not creating any turnovers. That's not giving you that ball inside enemy territory and shortening up what you have to do. That's how teams win games. This is how these teams that we're watching in the playoffs now were winning. They were creating opportunities.
And I was going to say, do you have the stats? Because I believe that the Raiders have got to be bottom 5 in the amount of turnovers that the.
Oh, no, I said 32nd. We're number 32. We are dead last.
Yep.
That is just such a disconnect from the improvement. And I tell you what, you talk about the improvement in sacks. Well, yes, we were 29th in sacks last year. This year we finished 20th. Why? Because the last half of the season, we weren't getting the pressure up the middle, which created the outside pressure that allowed Max and Ngakoue to get in for sacks. We just did not have the inside press. There's too many times where we pressured, but it didn't prevent a completion. What's the point of pressuring the quarterback if he gets the ball out anyway? How many times did you see that happen? Where
twice.
I mean, the quarterback is swallowed, and then he just comes out, and that Washington game. Oh, how many times did we see this no-name Heineke come out of a crowd and throw and get a completion? And I'm like, what's the use of pressures? Sure, Max Crosby was number 2 this year in pressures?
He was definitely top 3.
He was 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yes, he was sure. But in sacks, he was with the crowd. He still was unable to wrap up the quarterback and bring him down. And I won't say like a TJ Watt, right? I think he won the sack competition this year. Did he break Strahan's record?
No, I think he was like a short.
Tied it or something. It was like a 20.5, something like that.
Yeah, he didn't break it. He might have tied, but I know he didn't break it. I know he didn't break it.
I'm not,
and he did it in 15 games. So even though it was a 17-game season, he actually did it in a regular season's length.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he tied the. Thanks, Richie. I know he didn't break it.
He didn't break it. I knew he was close. You know, the Pittsburgh Steelers fans were all on Twitter about him, you know, being able to break that record. But the point is that, and Max had no help from the other side too. Sometimes the defensive end flushes the quarterback into the grasping arms of the other defensive end. That's when they're working like bookends. But it starts when the quarterback can't step up. He has nowhere to go. In this case, we didn't get enough pressure in the middle.
And I saw that the entire game of the Rams playing the fake Pirates. And trust me, every time I saw that old bastard whose name shall not be mentioned because it is a swear word here on my show.
He could not step
get engulfed with the interior coming up into him and then the ends swarming around him, and they all met at the quarterback and they made a wishbone.
They made a sandwich. Mm-hmm. We need to get a deli to call it the TB sandwich.
We need to put a man back in the kitchen and make us some sandwiches.
Yes, that's what we need. And see, that's what we've always needed on defense. If you have a sandwich, if you're getting that kind of penetration, most of your plays, I tell you truly, it's going to work some magic. You're going to start getting more turnovers. But if you're not getting that penetration, Bradley, you got to blitz. You got to train one of your linebackers to be a pass rushing specialist. I mean, why do we have to rewrite the book of John Madden for our defensive coordinators? The one before that, Ken Norton Jr., he didn't blitz.
By the way, he was fired too. So at least we know that we
wasn't just us, you know.
It wasn't just us, yes.
And just for gossip, I heard some gossip today that Dennis Allen might get the Saints job now that Peyton has retired. Did you hear the gossip too?
Yeah, no, I actually believe that that's going to be a good hire for New Orleans because I think that Dennis Allen has grown immensely since we had him as the head coach, and that he will be a good hire for the Saints. I really do think that that'll work out well for them. Now, granted, they have issues on their team, but I think Allen will be the least of their worries. They need to figure out who's going to be their quarterback. They're going to need to figure out how many, because they're cash strapped as well. Maybe that, you guys were talking about that number one receiver. Michael Thomas might be made available because they are cap strapped, and I'd love to have Michael Thomas come in here and be that number one if available as well.
Well, I heard Thomas was a little bit difficult to get along with. Not saying, just gossip and rumor.
What do we see happening with a couple of our linebackers, Littleton and Kwiatkowski? Are either of them even on contract anymore?
No. They are a big part of the contract, and unfortunately, we can't get rid of Littleton due to the cap ramifications. So basically, if we do, it would have to be a post June 1st cut just to spread it out over 2 years, and it's still a hell of a hit.
Because I mean, he's been worthless.
Yes. And he will be a high-priced bench sitter for next year if we do, and we are going to have to keep him. Kwiatkowski, I think, would be more available for a post June 1st cut because he carries a lot as well. And I was very happy when they were signed because I had some.
I was too.
Big time aspirations for both Kwiatkowski and Littleton. And remember, Kwiatkowski was signed first, and then Littleton. Peggy, you okay?
Yeah, no. What happened was I swallowed something, and I swallowed a pill on the sly, and one of my zincs, keeping my immune system healthy, and it went down. It went down the wrong.
Makes me so sick.
No,
my stomach cannot handle zinc.
The immune system must have it, but I know everybody was ecstatic, but I wasn't, because I didn't see one pass rushing linebacker in the bunch. Kwiatkowski was undersized, and it showed because the boy stayed on IR, correct? Both years. And with Littleton, I kept scratching my head. I said, well, I guess he wants to pass a coverage linebacker, right? But Littleton never fit anybody's scheme, not really.
Because Littleton was used to having Aaron Donald's big fat ass in front of him.
There you go.
That made him a lot better than he was, and it showed when we picked him up. Because again, you've been looking for it. You said get that big fat Ted Washington type, Grady Jackson type. Even the guy that we had from
at this point, I'd take Gilbert anytime. Big Gilbert, man. Remember playing for the Packers?
Yeah.
I mean, any kind of decent 3T DT that knows how to plug holes, can wrap up and tackle, and can get to the quarterback occasionally. Mm-hmm. I'm happy with 5 sacks a year from my DT position. I mean, I'm not greedy. I don't need 10. I need 5. But more importantly, the dependency that everybody around them, the DEs depend on them. You just showed how a linebacker, all the linebackers depend on that pass rush up the middle. They have to have it, because otherwise they're going to constantly be set upon by 320-pound old linemen. Mm-hmm. If you're not stopping those guys from coming out on their pulls and their sweeps and all that and mowing our little tiny guys down, you got to have a tough front four up there. Guys, I wanted to spend the last 15 minutes, though.
Actually, the last 10 minutes.
The 10 minutes talking about one
thing. I can do outro. That's right.
And that's the future of Derek Carr. Where do you all want to see him this year? What do you want done with Derek Carr?
I honestly don't know. I think that that rumor is true about Carr wanting the coaching staff to stay. And what that means to me is Carr is willing to embrace mediocrity and not strive for improvement. I like Derek Carr a lot. I think he has potential. The problem is he needs everything around him to be perfect. And that is something that the Raiders are unable to do. Mm-hmm. The Raiders do not have the best offensive line. When he had a good offensive line, he did better. And when he had a bad offensive line, he was crushed. Literally 50-some sacks one year.
Mm-hmm. That was 2014, by the way. Go ahead.
Well, he had one later on too. That was
I believe you. Go ahead.
17 or 18 or something. But he needs to have the right wide receivers. He has a good foundation with Hunter Renfrow, but he needs to have that number 1 wide receiver. The problem is, I just don't know if the Raiders are going to be able to bring in enough players and the right kind of coaches to support him, or if it's time to tear it down and start fresh with somebody new. I think that the Raiders will probably keep him, and they'll probably plan on keeping him for another year or 2. But beyond that, I'm not really sure I see him as a Raiders quarterback. Mm-hmm. Which is a shame, because I really do like him, and I have enjoyed watching him play all these years. But the thing is, Raiders have not surrounded him with a defense do we want to pay Carr $30 million a year? If you could get him for $30 million a year, there's no way he would sign for that little. We got him for a bargain.
Yeah,
we got him for a bargain after 2016.
Yeah,
and that was an average of $25 million a year after the 2016. Now he's been making a cap hit of around 19 to 20 million the last couple of years.
That's this year was 20.
He is as far as cap hits go, a low end quarterback now. He is a bargain. If you think you can get him for 30 million, go ahead and sign him, because there are some quarterbacks that have really raised the rates. You can thank Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott for that.
It's true.
Well, no, right after Derek Carr signed, and everybody's saying, how can you do that with Carr? And then Stafford signed, and then another guy signed, and then everybody was saying, how it pushed him up. But Stafford came in and broke that, and then the next guy came in and broke that. So it's been a litany of people. Like I said, didn't you have Mahomes and Dak Prescott? So I tell you,
Captain, we're in our last. We're down the stretch now. We need to know. What's Derek Carr's future? You're the GM. What do you do with him?
I trade his ass right now for a power hungry team that needs a quarterback. I would use the model of a Stafford model. What the Lions got for Matthew Stafford, and I would be like 2 1s and a 3, and that would be what I'm at is saying, you give me 2 1s, and obviously one of the ones is in next, obviously 2023, another one this year. So I got 2 1s this year. I got another one in 23 with my own one. Okay. And I'll take an extra pick, either a 3 or a 4. Okay. Because Derek Carr, I like him, but you know what? I will take the hit this year. Everybody say, reload. I'm looking long-term, people. We got a good team right now, and maybe we take a hit back. Because I tell you what, if we have Aaron Rodgers in our division, that's 2 games that the Raiders maybe at best split. We got Mahomes in our division. That is at best a split. And we got Herbert, if they have good coaching, at best we split. That is either we're 3-3, 0-6. I can see it because we have to play those guys. I'm looking long-term. I want to build up the offensive line. I want to build up the defensive line. I want to build those things up and grab a quarterback in 23 to get the best available, because I'm looking long-term, not quick turnaround. Okay, reload, sure. But I would take as much collateral for Derek Carr as I can.
If the Raiders could have gotten 2 1s and a 3 for Derek Carr, they would have traded him 2 or 3 years ago. They wouldn't have held on to him this long.
And I think that's where, and I love what you're saying, Captain, because my thinking is along the same line. But the problem is the landing spot for Carr. I'm looking around at the teams, the ones that aren't already millions, tens of millions over the cap as we speak. And I'm looking at the teams that need a quarterback. Obviously, the Denver Broncos are out, right?
No, you ain't trading. Well, the Broncos are going to get
going into the division. So now we go outside of the division and we start looking around. I mean, quite frankly, Frank Reich has done as much as he can with that poor child Wentz, okay? The boy is just, let me use the word, buck stupid, okay? There's some people you can't train to be a quarterback, and Wentz is one of them. So Frank Reich is a great landing place. The question is Indy the franchise that's going to give us that kind of capital? Do they feel desperate enough? Maybe Carolina does. They mistook Sam Darnold for a real quarterback. I mean, we don't know whether they recognize or not. Where the landing spot is what concerns me with the strategy of trading him, is that we have to find a place that A, is in need of a quarterback, of Carr's experience and stature. I'm looking at Pittsburgh, but I doubt seriously if they're going to give us that kind of good. Pittsburgh, they're shrewd operators.
Yeah,
they're not going to give you 2 number 1 picks for Derek Carr. Okay. Right. However, they would want a Derek Carr, and the Pittsburgh fans have told me this. So I love what you're saying, Captain, but my feeling is I have different reasons for Carr needing to go. Not only is all of the things that Heidi said true, that he just needs too much of a supporting cast, but there's a shelf life on a quarterback who hasn't won, an NFC title game, an AFC title game, a quarterback who hasn't advanced, a Phillip Rivers type, a guy who's there, a Tony Romo type. And that's who somebody compared Carr to, Tony Romo. A guy who's going to put up big numbers. There's a shelf life at a time where you have to, like Captain says, time to cut bait. Mm-hmm. It's not because I don't like his skill set. It's because the Raiders organization is incapable of giving him the kind of support he needs to become a championship quarterback. Maybe Pittsburgh does. Maybe the Colts do. Okay? Maybe the Giants are thinking, we're sick of Jones. Let's see what we can. The Giants would be thrilled to have Carr.
The Giants, New Orleans, if they can figure out a cap situation, because now they're screwed up.
I X'd out New Orleans because Peyton's gone now. See, Carr should not place himself in a position where there's just as much confusion, chaos, and transition as there is in Oakland, as there is in Vegas. Why in the world would he go into a situation where the head coach just quit?
Yeah, but then again, we have the contract.
Right.
We have the contract. So Derek can say, well, I'm going to retire as a Raider. I'm either going to retire a Raider. Okay, well, fine. Then you say bye. And then you still suck it up for a year. Unfortunately, I think we're going to get rid of him or play him this year, but this is his last year. I don't even want an extension.
Right. I'm with Heidi. Either right now you trade him, get what you can for him, because at this point his capital is going downhill as we speak. It's probably decreasing as we're talking now. We're going to get what we can for him and get out now, because we cannot provide him the support he needs.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking about getting out now, unfortunately, that's the greatest segue that I could have at this point.
Yeah.
We are at the end of the show, folks. Again, I have to keep a hard 2 hours for Roku because this will be broadcast on Friday. I appreciate everybody being here. I definitely appreciate the ladies being here because, again, these ladies have known more and have forgotten more shit than most of y'all know on purpose. So there you go. That's the quality that we have here on this broadcast.
Thank you, Captain, and it's always a pleasure. Me. And to our commenters, thank you so much for hanging in here all 2 hours and listening to us talk about stuff you've heard a million times, but I think we just gave you a little flavor on it.
And good luck, Veronica.
Comment after the show. When the show goes off, put your comments in there. Interactive. We need to
see the grades. We want to see the grades.
There you go. Ladies, gentlemen, thanks again. I got to do a quick outro. It's always a pleasure. We will be look for words on when we will have our next show. I'll talk with the ladies, but we will always have a Captain and Wenches show while we have availability. I thank everybody for being here. I thank Miss Peggy. I thank Miss Heidi because I love y'all coming in here. You make me look a lot more intelligent. I got two good ladies who know what the hell they're talking about.
Well, thanks a lot and talk to y'all soon.
We enjoy being here. Thank you.
Bye,
goodbye, everyone. Good luck to everyone who's still got a team in the fight.
There you go. Thanks again, folks. We'll see you next time on Captain and Wenches. Check it out.